In the middle and the beginning of the 80s, ABBA was so uncool. Well, can you make digital copies? Fun idea.
In the early 1980s, ABBA, the Swedish pop sensation that had dominated global charts just a few years earlier, suddenly seemed uncool. The glittering costumes, the infectious melodies, and the unstoppable energy that had once made them the darlings of the music world appeared almost outdated in a rapidly changing pop landscape. For many fans, it was hard to reconcile the ABBA of the late 70s, who had brought joy and dance floor magic, with the band that seemed to have lost its sparkle by the new decade. And yet, beneath this surface-level shift in public perception, far more significant and personal changes were quietly taking place, changes that would ultimately alter the course of the band's history forever. At 79, Björn Ulvaeus, one of ABBA's core songwriters and a man who had shaped some of the most enduring pop classics of all time, has finally spoken openly about the reality behind ABBA's breakup. His revelations go beyond simple rumors or industry speculation. They uncover the emotional truths, the personal struggles, and the heartbreak that were hidden behind the group's public image. For decades, fans had tried to piece together the reasons for ABBA's dissolution, often pointing to musical differences, fatigue from touring, or a desire for solo projects. While these factors played a role, Ulvaeus's candid accounts now reveal a much deeper, more intimate story, rooted in relationships, emotional pain, and the human cost of fame. The contrast between ABBA's public persona and the private turmoil of its members could not have been more stark. From a distance, they seemed untouchable. Four individuals creating joyful, polished music that brought happiness across the world. But as Björn's revelations show, the realities behind the band's chemistry were far more complex. The pressures of maintaining a public image, coupled with personal heartbreak and strained relationships, were quietly eroding the bonds that had once made ABBA an unshakable force in pop music. This is the story of a band at the height of fame, yet grappling with inner turmoil that no audience could see. It is a story of love, heartbreak, creativity, and ultimately, the transformative power of music. It begins in a time when ABBA was struggling to stay relevant, but the emotional truths they faced would define some of their most iconic work. For years, fans speculated about ABBA's sudden withdrawal from the global stage. Articles and documentaries hinted at tension, creative disagreements, and the inevitable fatigue that comes with relentless touring. Yet the truth was far more personal. ABBA's split wasn't just about music. It was about relationships, emotions, and the fragility of human connection. Björn Ulvaeus's decision to speak about these hidden realities provides fans with an unprecedented glimpse into the emotional landscape behind ABBA's glittering facade. It is easy to forget, with the constant replay of their hits on radio, stations, and streaming services, that the members of ABBA were real people, facing pressures and challenges that went far beyond the public eye. Fans often think of them as larger-than-life figures, their lives and loves wrapped in a perfect, untouchable bubble of celebrity glamour. Yet Björn's account shatters that illusion, revealing the very human struggles that influenced the music, the performances, and the ultimate decisions that led to the band's end. By sharing his story, Björn allows listeners to understand that ABBA's music was born not only from joy and artistic ambition, but also from heartache and personal trials. It is the tension between these public and private realities that gives ABBA's songs their depth and resonance. The catchy melodies and choreographed perfection mask the stories of love lost, emotional exhaustion, and complex human relationships that inspired them. Fans who long speculated about the reasons for ABBA's breakup are now confronted with truths that are as shocking as they are relatable. Fame, success, and global recognition do not shield anyone from heartbreak. As the music swells and the stories unfold, it becomes clear that the emotional reality behind ABBA is inseparable from the music they created, music that continues to touch millions even decades later. Björn Ulvaeus and Agnetha Feldskog were more than just bandmates. They were a couple whose love story seemed almost designed for the stage. From the very beginning, their connection captivated audiences and fans alike. Agnetha, with her hauntingly beautiful and emotionally resonant voice, brought a vulnerability and authenticity to ABBA's songs that no one else could match. Björn, with his masterful songwriting and keen musical intuition, complemented her perfectly, creating a balance of emotion and technical brilliance that became the foundation of ABBA's sound. Their relationship, however, was not just professional. On stage, their chemistry was palpable. Every duet, every shared glance during performances added layers of depth to the music. Offstage, their love seemed equally compelling, painting a picture of the ideal artistic partnership, a blend of talent, beauty, and emotional intensity that few could rival. Fans didn't just admire their music, they were drawn into their story, living vicariously through the perceived perfection of Björn and Agnetha's romance. It is easy to see why their eventual divorce caused such widespread shock. For millions, it wasn't merely the end of a marriage. It was the symbolic unraveling of ABBA itself. The emotional core of the band had always revolved around the chemistry and creative synergy between Björn and Agnetha. When that central bond began to break, the impact was felt not only personally, but artistically. The public had invested in their story, imagining a love that mirrored the passion and harmony of their music. The reality, however, was far more complicated. The pressures of fame, the constant scrutiny, and the demands of life in the spotlight created tensions that no relationship could fully withstand. Despite the outward appearance of perfection, cracks were forming, often invisible to those outside the inner circle. Fans only saw the polished performances, the smiles, and the effortless glamour. Behind the scenes, however, Björn and Agnetha faced challenges that tested the limits of their love, resilience, and emotional stamina. Even decades later, their story continues to fascinate. Fans write about their love, their heartbreak, and the music that immortalized their bond. The fascination stems from a desire to understand how such profound artistic and personal chemistry could simultaneously elevate and challenge human relationships. Their connection was rare, almost mythical, a combination of talent, beauty, and intimacy that inspired both adoration and envy. Contrary to what many fans might have assumed, ABBA's breakup was not simply the result of artistic disagreements or creative burnout. At the heart of the band's dissolution was the deeply personal unraveling of Björn and Agnetha's marriage. While both had achieved global fame and success, the pressures of public life weighed heavily on their private lives. Agnetha was struggling with the intense demands of motherhood, fame, and constant public scrutiny. The spotlight, which had once seemed glamorous and exhilarating, had begun to feel suffocating. She experienced increasing isolation, feelings of unhappiness, and emotional exhaustion that came not from a lack of talent, but from the impossibility of balancing personal needs with the expectations of a global audience. Björn, for his part, was becoming emotionally distant. He wrestled with his own inner conflicts and personal turmoil. Rather than confronting these feelings directly, he increasingly withdrew, creating a gulf between himself and Agnetha. Eventually, he made the difficult and painful decision to initiate a divorce, a decision that shocked both Agnetha and their fans. The way the separation occurred, abrupt and emotionally raw, left Agnetha devastated. The suddenness of Björn's choice highlighted not only the fragility of relationships in the glare of fame, but also the isolation and loneliness that can exist even within the most celebrated partnerships. For the members of ABBA, this was more than a personal heartbreak. It was a seismic shift that affected the very foundation of the band. Their music, which had been deeply intertwined with the emotional chemistry of the couple, could no longer draw upon the same energy and intimacy. The emotional core of ABBA, the interplay of love, vulnerability, and shared creativity, was gone, and the consequences were felt in every rehearsal, recording session, and performance thereafter. The divorce did not just end a marriage. It symbolized the beginning of ABBA's transformation from a unified creative force into a group struggling to maintain cohesion under extraordinary pressures. The announcement of the divorce resonated deeply with millions of fans who had long admired and even idealized the relationship. It felt in many ways like a personal loss, as though a beloved story of love and artistry had been rewritten in painful, irrevocable ways. The emotional fallout extended beyond Björn and Agnetha to the other members of ABBA, whose own friendships and professional dynamics were inevitably affected. The tension and sadness created an atmosphere that colored the band's work, bringing a new, more somber, emotional layer to their songs. This period of emotional upheaval illustrates the often overlooked reality of fame. The very success that brings adoration and wealth can also magnify personal struggles, exposing private pains to public scrutiny. Björn and Agnetha's story is not just one of heartbreak, but of the complexity of human relationships under extraordinary circumstances. While their love ultimately could not survive the pressures of their world, their experiences would later inform some of ABBA's most enduring, emotionally resonant music, creating works that continue to touch listeners decades later. In the summer of 1979, during a period marked by personal chaos and emotional turbulence, Björn Ulvaeus and Benny Andersson retreated to a secluded cottage on Vigi Island in the Swedish archipelago. It was here, away from the public eye, that the first steps were taken toward creating one of ABBA's most iconic and emotionally charged songs, The Winner Takes It All. The setting, isolated and tranquil, provided the perfect space for reflection and creativity, allowing Björn and Benny to confront their feelings through music rather than words alone. The song's inception was not born from a fully formed concept. Instead, it emerged from fragments of older musical sketches, pieces Björn and Benny had kept tucked away, waiting for the right emotional moment to bring them together. For Björn, who had always expressed his deepest feelings through music, the creation of this song was a necessary and almost urgent act of emotional therapy. He poured into it the tangled emotions of heartbreak, guilt, sadness, and confusion, channeling feelings that could not be expressed in conversation. The working title, The Story of My Life, reflected just how personal and intimate the song truly was. The first arrangement of the track, however, was far from perfect. It was up-tempo, mechanical, and structured, a style that clashed with the raw emotion Björn needed to convey. Both he and Benny quickly realized that the song's energy did not match its emotional weight. In a stroke of artistic insight, they set the song aside for a few days, allowing themselves space to reconsider its direction. This pause proved critical, giving them time to reflect and return with fresh perspectives. When they revisited the composition, Benny proposed a radical transformation, reframed the song in the style of a French sea song, a more fluid and open structure that allowed the melody and lyrics to breathe. This approach transformed the track into a confessional, emotionally resonant ballad. The descending piano line, gentle cadence, and deliberate pacing gave Björn's words room to resonate with authenticity. Each note, pause, and inflection carried the weight of real experience, transforming personal pain into universally understood music. The Winner Takes It All is not merely a song about heartbreak. It is a profound exploration of emotional truth. Björn's ability to translate the collapse of his marriage into a song of haunting beauty ensured that the music was both cathartic for him and deeply affecting for listeners. Every lyric, every instrumental choice reflected the painstaking care with which he processed his feelings. This track stands as a testament to ABBA's artistry. Even in moments of personal despair, they were capable of creating music that transcended circumstance, connecting profoundly with millions across the globe. This song's enduring power lies in its authenticity. Fans do not simply hear a story, They feel it. The emotional vulnerability, the honesty in the lyrics, and the subtlety of the arrangement elevate the winner. Takes it all beyond pop music into something timeless, a reflection of human experience itself. ABBA's legacy extends far beyond catchy melodies, synchronized dance moves, or iconic costumes. Their music is deeply human, capturing the joys, sorrows, triumphs, and heartbreaks that define life. Behind the glittering image of four, superstars were individuals navigating the complexities of love, fame, and personal growth. Bjorn and Agnetha's story is central to this legacy, a reminder that even the most seemingly perfect partnerships can harbor profound challenges. The emotional truth of ABBA's music is inseparable from the personal experiences that shaped it. Songs like The Winner, Takes It All immortalize moments of vulnerability and heartbreak, demonstrating that even in moments of great personal pain, art can transform suffering into something beautiful and universally relatable. ABBA's music continues to resonate decades later because it is grounded in authentic human emotion, a testament to the creative power of lived experience. For fans, understanding the stories behind the music adds a layer of depth to ABBA's artistry. Knowing the heartbreak that inspired their songs, the personal challenges faced by the band members, and the resilience required to create under pressure enriches every note, every lyric, and every performance. ABBA was not merely a pop phenomenon. It was a group of individuals translating their personal journeys into music that transcended language, culture, and time. Ultimately, ABBA's story is one of resilience, creativity, and the enduring power of art to communicate what words alone cannot. Their songs, born from joy and heartbreak alike, remain as relevant and moving today as when they were first composed. Björn Ulvaeus' reflections offer a rare glimpse into the humanity behind the icon, reminding fans that even the brightest stars are shaped by both triumph and struggle. In reflecting on ABBA's journey, it becomes clear that music is not just entertainment. It is memory, emotion, and history woven into sound. Through their trials and triumphs, ABBA created more than hits. They crafted enduring legacies, timeless stories of love, loss, and the transformative power of art. By the early 1980s, ABBA faced not only personal heartbreak, but also the relentless pressure of public expectation. Fans expected perfection at every performance, every music video, and every interview. Every costume, choreography, and melody was scrutinized. While the world saw glamour and joy, the reality was far more demanding. The members of ABBA were constantly on the move, touring, recording, promoting, and maintaining the public image of a flawless band. The emotional toll was significant. Behind closed doors, Björn, Benny, Agnetha, and Anni Frid struggled with exhaustion, creative differences, and the weight of their own fame. The very success that had propelled them to global superstardom now became a source of immense stress. Each member had to navigate the gap between their public personas and their private selves. For Agnetha, this meant grappling with isolation and the overwhelming demands of being a young mother in the limelight. For Björn, it was a battle between personal desires and professional obligations. Even with these pressures, ABBA continued to produce chart-topping hits, touring and recording, with dedication. But the joy that had once come naturally from music making was increasingly replaced by a sense of obligation and performance. Behind the smiles and polished performances, tension simmered. This tension would become a defining factor in the band's eventual hiatus, influencing both the music they produced and the decisions they made regarding their personal lives. Fans often overlook how fame can be both a blessing and a burden. In ABBA's case, the contrast between public adoration and private struggle added layers of complexity to their music. Songs that seemed upbeat and carefree often contained hidden emotional depth, reflecting the inner turmoil of the band members. Understanding this context allows us to appreciate not only the technical brilliance of ABBA's music, but also the emotional authenticity that made it resonate so deeply. While Björn and Agnetha's relationship often takes center stage, Benny Andersson's role in ABBA's success cannot be overstated. As a composer and musician, Benny provided the band with its rich musical foundation. His talent for melody, harmony, and arrangement complemented Björn's songwriting and Agnetha's vocals, creating a synergy that became the hallmark of ABBA's sound. Benny's contribution extended beyond technical expertise. His musical intuition and collaborative spirit allowed the band to navigate the complexities of fame and personal tension. He often served as a stabilizing force, helping the group channel emotional experiences into creative output. During the writing of The Winner Takes It All, for example, it was Benny's suggestion to reframe the song as a flowing confessional ballad that transformed it from a rigid arrangement into an emotionally resonant masterpiece. Benny's influence is also evident in the band's experimentation with different musical styles. From disco to pop to more introspective ballads, he constantly pushed ABBA to evolve, ensuring that their sound remained fresh and compelling. His ability to adapt to the emotional landscape of the band while maintaining musical cohesion was crucial to ABBA's continued success during turbulent times. In many ways, Benny represents the quiet backbone of ABBA, a figure whose genius often operates behind the scenes, but whose impact is felt in every note, chord, and arrangement. Without his vision, the emotional depth and technical brilliance that defined ABBA's later works might never have come to life. While Björn and Agnetha's story dominates much of ABBA's narrative, Annie Frid Lyngstad, known as Frida, also faced significant challenges. As one of the lead vocalists, Frida contributed to the iconic harmonies that defined ABBA's sound. Yet she too struggled with the pressures of fame and personal hardship. Frida's experience was marked by a balancing act between professional commitment and personal life. Her contributions were crucial during recording sessions and performances, but she often navigated the complexities of interpersonal dynamics within the band. Like Agnetha, she had to manage public scrutiny, ensuring that ABBA's image remained polished while concealing the emotional strain she experienced. Despite these challenges, Frida's resilience and talent shone through. Her ability to infuse songs with emotional depth added a unique layer to ABBA's music, particularly in tracks that conveyed longing, heartbreak, and reflection. Her perspective highlights the collective effort behind ABBA's success, a reminder that each member's personal journey shaped the band's creative output in profound ways. By the early 1980s, the combination of personal heartbreak, creative exhaustion, and the pressures of fame led ABBA toward a natural hiatus. The band members realized that sustaining their level of success while grappling with personal struggles was becoming increasingly impossible. Their music, once a joyful and collaborative expression of creativity, was now intertwined with emotional strain and tension. The hiatus was not an immediate or dramatic breakup, but a gradual recognition that the dynamics that had fueled ABBA's magic were shifting. Björn and Agnetha's divorce had altered the emotional foundation of the group, while Frida and Benny faced their own challenges balancing personal lives with professional obligations. For fans, this period of quiet retreat was confusing and bittersweet. The band's absence from public appearances and new releases left a void in the music world, yet it underscored the human reality behind the fame. Even the most celebrated artists need time to process life's complexities. During this period, each member pursued individual projects, exploring their own creative paths. Björn focused on songwriting and composition outside the group, while Benny explored collaborative musical ventures and production work. Agnetha and Frida, meanwhile, navigated solo careers, experimenting with styles that allowed them to express emotions and experiences that had been shaped by years of fame and personal challenges. This hiatus also provided the band with the space to reflect on their legacy. The members understood that ABBA's music had become a cultural phenomenon, resonating with fans across generations. Yet the same songs that brought joy to millions were also reminders of the personal sacrifices and emotional struggles behind the scenes. The later years of ABBA are thus marked by both reflection and reinvention, a period in which each member sought balance, personal growth, and a deeper understanding of the music that had defined their lives. The hiatus opened the door for solo exploration. Agnetha Fältskog, who had often been seen through the lens of her relationship with Björn, now sought to reclaim her artistic identity. Her solo work delved into personal